Check your contentment before you wreck yourself.
And I think people always come with stereotypes as well, whether it would be a white man or a black woman. Actually, if you work on those things before you get in a relationship, you don't have to then bring all your, mess into someone else's life.
Hey guys! Welcome back to Salt's YouTube channel. I'm Galia and today I'm joined by my friend Sandi.
Hi.
And we're bringing you 3 things no one usually tells you about singleness and dating. Now, I've invited Sandi to join me today because, as well as being a great friend, she is a well of wisdom and has so much gold to share in this area. And because actually, this is the kind of conversation we have in private all the time, and we want to share it with you because we think this is a conversation that is worth us all having together.
Yeah.
So, Sandi, to get us started, tell us 3 things about you.
3 things about me. The first one, I am Zimbabwean.
Yes.
Shout out to all my Zimbabweans. The second thing about me is my last name actually means royalty.
Come on.
So, princess over here. Third thing about me, something fun and cool, is that I studied theology at uni.
So, Sandi, the first of your 3 things that you sent in is that it's okay to be content in who you are and still seek romantic companionships. Tell us about it.
I think both those things can coexist. It's okay to be feeling like I'm good, I feel like I don't really need anyone at the moment. And then once you develop from that and think, okay, now I actually want to be in a romantic relationship, it's okay to feel like that. I think a lot of times people think we're being desperate if we're seeking for romantic relationships, but actually it's not desperate. You can be content and actually seek a relationship as well.
Why does contentment actually matter, do you think?
I think contentment matters because you're not really always searching for what's next. You're just content in where you are, content in where your life is right now, content in what you're doing, who you're with and what's happening. You're not always when I get here, I'm happy. That kind of whole attitude of when I reach this stage, because standards always change. So you can be looking at other people's standards and be like, oh, I want to be like them, but actually if you're content in where you are, you're not going to be always searching, when I get here I'm going to be happy, when I get this place I'm going to, because you're never going to be truly happy. You're always going to be seeking more. So you have to learn the secret of contentment, like Paul said.
It's so good. And the reality is Paul, the apostle you mentioned from the Bible, he's such a good example because he was content in really unfavourable circumstances, worse circumstances probably than being single and hoping you're in to be in a relationship or to start dating. His unfavourable circumstance was under house arrest. He was a prisoner with no hope of release at that point, apart from the internal hope he had in Christ for freedom now and eternally. But his unfavourable circumstance wasn't a barrier to his contentment. And I think that's such a challenge, big picture in life, but also when it comes to our relationship status. Not only is our contentment to be rooted in eternal things and the hope that we can have in Jesus, but actually here and now I can cultivate contentment and that's okay. It's okay to be okay with where you're at, and it's probably a healthier place, isn't it?
100%,
to develop your life from, and not just wait for, you say, when I get there or when this happens. Contentment can't be conditional.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise it's always going to be fleeting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always going to be changing. And I think it's important to do we used to do this thing at church where you do MOT check on yourself. Check yourself internally. What is it that is making me feel like I'm not content? What can I change? What can I practically do to actually change my attitude towards that?
So
because you're constantly going to be searching for more, and when that more doesn't come, you're always going to think you're not good enough or you're not in the right place or anything like that. So you have to find that secret of contentment.
So good. Check your contentment before you wreck yourself. Or something like that, as the saying goes. There can actually be a bit of shame, can't there? And a bit of embarrassment almost about saying, no, I want my status to be different to what it is. I'm totally content where I am and I desire for it to not be like this forever. Talk to us about that.
I think for me personally, I'm quite a content person. I think I've got a great support system, so I've never actually been through a stage where I'm really, really struggling. But I think that also has like a negative effect, because when you're content, you're always going to be thinking, I'm fine where I am, like I don't need anyone else, and that's actually really unhealthy as well. But I think when it comes to seeking relationships, you know, there was that whole shame of like, oh, people are now going on like dating apps, you know, that kind of thing. Like in the Christian community, it was such a big deal.
It was
like,
so taboo, wasn't it? It was literally like we'd got the internet for the first time and someone said it was a really bad thing.
Honestly.
But it was because people were starting to admit, oh, actually, I do want to leverage technology to see if, you know, this is a way that God's going to provide for one of the desires in our heart. But there's 100%. A real shame around that to begin with, and probably even now as well.
Yeah, I think that there are still some people that are like probably thinking, oh, like I'll look desperate if I go on a dating app. But remember, we are in the digital world. Like things have changed. The way people converse is so different. The way we interact with one another is so different. And I'm not encouraging you to go on a dating app if you feel like that's not for you. But I'm saying if you want to, don't care about what other people think, because actually it's okay to actually seek you know, outside of, you know, your church, or, you know, outside of like your bubbles and stuff like that. It's okay to actually go out and be like, I want to be intentional. I think that's the thing, like it's about being intentional about, you know, I want to be in a relationship now. What can I do to put myself out there? And dating apps are really great. Like we'll go into a little bit more, but they are great.
So the second thing that no one ever talks about when it comes to singleness and dating, that we're going to go there on, thanks to you, is that looking for a relationship when cultures clash is going to be hard, but we should persevere. Talk to us about your experience on culture clash. We're going to get deep
now, guys. I just think, so for me personally, I got saved in a predominantly white church. So I think it was kind of hard to find like guys who I relate to when it comes to culture and stuff like that. And even when like going on dating apps, I think there's predominantly like English culture on dating apps. So it's quite hard to kind of decipher who will be okay with getting to know you and how our differences are and stuff like that. So I've had experiences with people where I meet people and then you soon realize that actually there's just a big clash here. It's just not going to work.
And so it's that like incompatibility that is just right at the core of your identity.
It's such a big thing.
If we're incompatible there, then...
Yeah, definitely. And I think people always come with stereotypes as well about whether it would be a white man or a black woman. Everyone has a stereotype. We've all built up these stereotypes that are probably unhealthy, and we need to check ourselves on that as well.
And like we've all got blind spots on it as well, haven't we? So we might, like I might be sat here thinking, I don't have any bad stereotypes that would be a culture clash moment in dating, but I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And actually, like, that's why dating is great, isn't it? Because you get to go on a bit of a process and you discover a lot about yourself. But actually, when it comes to culture, we've got to be aware, like, there are blind spots.
Yeah.
And we do take those into dating.
Yeah, definitely.
So what other kinds of experiences have you had? Like, how have you found it hard and how have you persevered?
I think what I had to learn was to not just, you know, brush past, like, people that don't look like me or people that are not from the same country as me or anything like that. And the thing is with, like, my profile, like, when I used to have a profile on Soul, I'm out now, guys, but it's all good. It's not because of the app, but other things.
It's not you, it's her.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, when I was on the app, my profile said, like, Zimbabwean. I blast that Zimbabwean everywhere.
I love that.
Just because I just wanted people to feel free to actually choose me knowing that I'm from there, you know. So I think one of the things that I had to learn was just literally not to stereotype people because they're not from the same country as me or they're not from the same culture as me or anything like that, and actually give people a chance, you know. And I think that's very important because you never know who you're going to be compatible with and who you're going to, you know, connect with as well. It's so important to actually not just, you know, be like, no, I don't want that because of someone, the way they look or anything like that. So I think that's what I had to learn, to just really put myself out there, persevere, because dating is really fun, guys. Can I just say that, actually? Like, dating is really fun because you get to meet so many different people and you get to experience so many different things. You get to
Okay, but let's level now, because there are two types of people maybe in this world, definitely in this video, okay, there is like one type of person who's like, dating so much fun, you get to meet so many people, it's amazing. And then there's another kind of person who's like, do you know what? I really love people, but I love knowing people already. And it's not that I don't want to get to know people. I just prefer when you get to that point of
I already
knowing them.
Yeah.
But actually, like, I've had some like cross-cultural dating experience, and it was so interesting to me. Again, like I said, like, I became very aware of some like, personal blind spots in that process, and that was so healthy and life-giving. And also, it was interesting to know, like, oh, there's so much more to know about a person than just what you see at face value, or even what they write about themselves on their profile. In the same way that there's more to me than what I would put on a profile, or more to you, there's more to the other people on the other side of other screens. And actually, when it comes to culture, it takes time to get an actual sense of understanding, because it takes time to be vulnerable enough to share stories, and it takes time to understand how culture impacts family and values and worldview, and it is worth persevering on it, but it is going to take time, and it is fun, and some people find it more fun than others, and that's okay. But the final of your top 3 things is, this is a really good one, and I think a really good note for us to end this on as well, is that your patterns in singleness will become the patterns of who you are in a relationship. Talk to us.
I think it's important to really work on yourself before you get in a relationship. And I'm not talking about, you know, become this incredibly great Christian or anything like that. I just mean just who you are at the core of your being is so important, because if you are not a kind person, if you're not integrous, like, you're gonna go into a relationship not being kind and not being integrous. And actually, you can pretend for a while, but the real you really does start coming out. You know, it's so easy to go on dates and be dating people and be like, actually, for a while I can pretend to be something that I'm not, but actually the real you does always come out. It's so true. Like, you know, what's in your heart will always come out. So I think it's important to really learn how to be just a good person in singleness. Don't think to yourself, when I get in a relationship, that's when I'll be like, you know, good, this person will help me be a good person, or this person will help me be compassionate or kind, or, you know, patient, or anything like that. But actually, if you work on those things before you get in a relationship, you'll quickly realize that it's easy breezy. You don't have to then bring all your, you know, mess into someone else's life. So you've got to work on yourself in singleness, because you take who you are wherever you go. So you have to be, you know, really,
and it's about patterns, isn't it, as well? Like, don't wait until you're in a relationship to think, like, that's when I'm going to be good at Bible study, because me and Betty are going to do Bible study. Like, it's too late. You need to know what the word says before you get there.
100%.
Like, it's not a like, oh, well, I'll be regular going to church when I've got someone to go with me, because then I'll feel like comfortable and safe in a group environment. Like, find your place and find your feet and find your community and your place of belonging. I was really challenged recently. I heard a worship leader say that like, she's grown up, we're grown-ups technically, but she's like more grown up, married, got a couple of kids now, so in a very different life stage to what we would be in at the moment. And she said that she read 80% of the books that she's ever read in the time before she ever got married. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if in my singleness I'm going to read 80% of the books that I'm going to read in my lifetime, I better get to work. Like, what am I feeding on? What am I taking in? Like, what wisdom am I drawing on now? Because this is golden time to do it, isn't it? And also to, like, give our lives away.
100%.
And serve other people, and
definitely
say yes to an extra babysitting slot to serve someone else. Like, give a bit more than you think you can afford. Serve an extra slot on a rota.
Definitely. Like,
this is such valuable time to set those patterns that we actually want to be defined by, isn't it? Guys, I'm sure that, like me, you've enjoyed listening to Sandi so much. Honestly, I really could listen to all 8 of her 3 things. But hey, why don't you comment down below, let us know which of the 3 things that Sandi shared most resonated with you. Was it about the fact that we need to be content, but it's okay to seek romantic companionship? Was it about culture clashes being hard but needing to persevere and that being worthwhile? Or was it that last point that we shared on how actually, do you know what? Who we are in singleness is going to be a projection ahead of time foreshadowing who will be in relationships, and so those patterns matter. Comment down below 1, 2 or 3 which thing most resonated with you, and let us know as well if you want to hear more from Sandi, because I'm sure we can make that happen.
I'll be back, guys.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Bye.